Okay, welcome to the Eli Show. My name is Eli Goodman, and it has been a while. I do apologize for that. There's a few reasons why I haven't recorded an episode in a very, very long time, but we'll get into that in just a moment. And with me today is Darrin Fulkerson.
Hola.
Welcome, Darrin.
Glad to be here.
Excellent. So, yeah, it's good to have you here. I know that you've been wanting to do this for a while. And how's it going today?
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
So the first thing I want to get into is why I haven't done one in a very, very long time.
I'd like to hear it too.
Now, let's talk about the last one that I did, though. The last one that I did was a solo episode.
Yep.
And it was just, I was talking about specifically depression. And,
Following Bourdain.
After Bourdain and after, who's the other woman? The Spade woman that was the fashion designer there. And recently it was just determined that the woman that played, her name is Margot Kidder. She played not Superman. She played Lois Lane in the original Superman movies, like the 70s movies. She killed herself recently as well, too. So that actually had happened, I think, before I did that, but I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that one. So I was talking about depression. I was solo. And I do want to apologize for the audio of that if somebody actually listened to it, because somehow all this equipment didn't actually hook into this. And so it was just the microphone that's in here that picked it up. So it didn't sound as good.
Quality was all right.
Yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't, all the microphones and stuff that I paid for. It wasn't that kind of quality. And then the live feed on Facebook Live, my nephew tried to Facebook message me during the middle of it. And he's like, I don't know, I think he's like 9 or something. And so it cut the live feed in half. So if you wanted to watch the live video that did have the right audio hooked to it, then you had to watch 2 different videos. And so I do apologize for all the technical difficulties that I had on that. But I got a lot of responses on it. Some people responded and they were okay with me mentioning them. Some people were actually told me things in private, like I suffer from that too, but I don't want anybody to know, that kind of thing. The funny one was my best friend, Brian Mockery, who was the episode 1 guest here. He goes, "Hey man, great job on that depression podcast." And I was like, "Oh, sweet. You got to listen to it?" And he goes, "Well, I didn't listen to it, but a bunch of people told me." I was like, "Oh, awesome. Thank you." Thanks, Brian.
It was huge though.
Yeah. So got a lot of good responses on that. And then ironically, I kind of went into a 3-week spell of I call them spells, where I have depression troubles and stuff like that. Yeah. So I didn't want to record anything during that time. It just didn't feel like it. Didn't feel like a good spot to have people over and record. Yeah. And then now it's summertime and everybody is doing all these things on Saturday and Sunday. No, I'm going to be at the track. I'm going to be doing this. And so you were the first person that had any free time. So thanks, man.
Winning contestant.
All right. Awesome. And so that is why it has been a long time. So I'm sorry, folks, but I'm committed now. I'm going to do one every single week, even if I can't get a guest. I'll just do some topics
That's cool.
For instance, there are some topics where I imagine there might be people that are uncomfortable to be on that side.
I'm sure.
Depression was one of them. I did open up to anybody that wanted to come, but it wasn't a surprise to me that nobody did. And but there's some other ones that I've been wanting to give my 2 cents on, that I don't care about the repercussions of it, but I'm pretty sure that other people might be uncomfortable being on that side, this whole national anthem bullshit and stuff like that. So maybe when I can't find people to come and do the show, I'll do those ones that might
controversial.
Well, that might lose some people. as far as listeners, but more like I don't give a fuck about like swearing on here. I don't give a fuck about talking about my personal life, and career be damned. If things happen in my career because I screwed up on here, I don't care. But there are some people that they're like, I have a real job and please don't get me in trouble. But I'm going to do one every single week. But I do have some shout outs that things have happened since the last one. First of all, there's been a lot of love going on. A lot of people in love, getting married, things of that nature. So I want to congratulate Mandy Crozier and Lucas Rockwood. They had a wedding on one of the hottest days ever. It was so bleeping hot. I think it was July 1st that their wedding was. Yeah, it was July 1st.
It was probably actually the day my family was here.
Oh,
yeah, we went on a no air conditioned cruise.
No air conditioned cruise. Oh yeah, one of those. Well, they originally had a plan of a trolley. You know, those nice Saratoga trolleys. They're like open air to pick people up over here at Embassy Suites and bring them to where the wedding is, which was, I don't even know exactly, like Round Rock City, which is, it's close to here. Red Rock. I don't know. It sounds like a Flintstones place. Something City, Rockin' City or something like that. And it's not too far from here. It's like 12 miles. But it was in a church, and but they had to switch that plan up. They're like, no, we got to do an air conditioned bus now. We can't do like an open air trolley because that's just way too hot. But then you got into the church there, and just, I don't know what it is with churches. They just have like the 2 ceiling fans that are really high up. And it doesn't even look like they're on high. They're kind of like on medium. And so I was looking around, and it's kind of funny because you're all sweating, right? And you're like, oh, I'm so self-conscious, I'm sweating. But you look around and everybody was. It wasn't like just you. Everybody was drenched because people were in suits and stuff like that. Yeah. There were old people in there. I was like, we got to keep our close eye on these old people, make sure that they make it through the day. Yeah. But everybody did. Nobody died. So, all right. And it was a lovely, lovely celebration of love. Heather Anderson and Brad Heel also got married since my last podcast. They did a thing where they got married someplace else. They had some close family and friends, yada, yada, yada. And then they had the reception here in Bolton. So everybody that was celebrating their wedding just got to skip right to the party. I dig that. That's a good method. It would just go right in. Where's the beer? Bam. And that was really great. So congratulations to them. Today is the 1-year anniversary of episode 2. Lauren and Jason Chris, they got married 1 year ago today. So happy anniversary to them. And Frank Roylance and Lisa, I think her last name is Young. Shit. Well, it's going to be Roylance. Got engaged since the last one. So happy love to all those people.
And also, it's actually myself and Jenna's 1-year anniversary today.
Is it your 1-year anniversary today, you and Jenna? Man, love, man. So much love. So much love going around. Well, mine would be my lack of that, but that's been a topic of every episode so far. Then we also have some of our friends became local celebrities since my last podcast. Ooh. Okay, so here we have Saratoga Living. All right. Now it has Big Papi. So I don't like that because I'm a Yankee fan. It's got Big Papi on the cover. But if we turn to page, let's see here. Now I got this from my barber, Woody's Barbershop. Always gives me a copy of these things.
Oh, look at her.
Yeah. So on page 86, turn to page 86, and they have a nice little profile and interview with our friend Erica Diggins.
Erica.
Bam, she's famous. Awesome. But here's the funny part. So I go to get this because I know Erica's in it. And then I turn to that page, and who do we find?
On the back side.
On the page opposite. Richard Mack.
The guy I was just with.
One of our friends from CrossFit 12866.
Representing.
Yeah, so Rich works out at CrossFit 12866. He's one of the coaches there as well, as are you, a coach at CrossFit 12866. But when I first saw this, not only was I like, Rich is here too, but then I started to immediately question my own wardrobe. Okay, I was like, look at how nice Rich is dressed.
Very GQ.
Look at them in the blazer and the shoes and
He's always
and
got
the
nice
sunglasses. And I was like, man, I look like ass all the time compared to Rich here. So I gotta start. No, I gotta start. I gotta go to like
Step up the game.
yeah, what go to Joseph A. Bank or something and get this stuff. So congratulations to Richard Mack and Erica
congrats.
Diggins for making it into Saratoga Living. All right. Well, I've been doing all the talking. So you and I have known each other for about a year and a half now, since I joined CrossFit.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things I don't know about you. Like for instance, I was trying. Somebody asked me today. Not asked me, but it kind of got around the conversation because I was at Big George CrossFit today, talking to Kevin and Jane in the Lombard about recording this afternoon. So he's like, how old is Darrin? I don't know.
33.
33.
33.
Awesome. So let's start at the beginning. You are not from New York. Where are you from?
I'm from a small town, Carmi, Illinois. Southern part of the state, sort of on the border of Indiana and Kentucky.
So you're on the border of Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. And how long did you live there?
Born and raised there. I moved high schools, so I was a competitive swimmer. So I switched high schools. It was only like from here to Albany, but it was across state lines. I swam club there. So I graduated high school in Mount Vernon, Indiana. And I was out of the Midwest roughly by the time I was like 22, 21.
You swam competitively?
I did. Yeah.
I did not know.
Since I was 8 years old, that was always kind of like the bread and butter sport. I played football and baseball and stuff like that. Broke my collarbone in football and never played again after I was 14. But swimming was always summer and winter.
What position did you play in football?
Linebacker. Middle linebacker.
Linebacker in football. No kidding. What about baseball? Did you play in baseball?
Third base.
Third base in baseball.
Always third base.
I played shortstop when I was a baseball player. But I played for the Johnsburg Jaguars, which is an hour that way, an hour north. And I graduated with 34 kids.
Small school.
Yeah. So it wasn't that hard to be the starting shortstop on the baseball team. You just had to be able to basically throw it to first without bouncing it. And so I played shortstop, but also I played soccer and basketball. But I was not good at soccer or basketball.
See, where I was born and raised was so small we didn't even have a soccer team.
Didn't have a soccer team?
Did not. We had football, baseball, tennis.
How could you have football and not soccer? Okay, so you couldn't have both at the same time.
Yeah, they didn't have the sport at all. Not even leagues.
Yeah. Okay, because I got confused for a second there. Because the reason why we had soccer is there wasn't enough students to even have like a football team. Because you need like 11 on each side, assuming people don't play both ways. And then you need like reserves and subs and stuff.
Yeah.
And the funny part about Johnsburg was that you were expected, if you played one, to play all three. They were like, we only have so many people. So like I hated soccer. I absolutely hated it. And I loved baseball, but so I also worked at a restaurant in the summertime. That was it was a good restaurant. It's called Garnet Hill Lodge, and it's like a 4-diamond restaurant. It's where yuppies go to like get away from it all. Like the lodge itself doesn't have televisions or whatever, and it's got cross country ski trails and stuff. And so the yuppies go there and pretend that they're like one with nature and whatever. But you can earn like good tips and stuff like that.
Yep. And
so I was like, screw soccer. I don't want to spend the last 2 weeks of the summer where I couldn't be earning money going to soccer practice and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm not playing this year. And first practice happens. And after the first practice is over, the coach shows up at Garnet Hill Lodge.
Where were you at?
Yeah, where were you?
Son, where are you at?
I was like, I'm not playing this year. He's like, wow, yeah, you are. I was like, no, I'm not. And I got home, and my dad goes, yeah, you are. I was like, oh, great. So, and that year, I don't think I even got put on the bench. I think I played every minute of every game as like a punishment for the fact that I tried to not play soccer one year. So that's what it's like in North Creek. But competitive swimming, what events did you do?
So I was like a sprint freestyler and butterfly.
What does sprint freestyle mean?
50 free, 100 free, 100 fly.
Okay.
Short range.
How long is the pool? How long is one lane?
25 yards. So you have three different. You have an Olympic pool, which is 50 meters.
Yeah.
You have a meter pool that's 25 meters. And you have some 25 yard. Most are 25 yards. If you go to the Y down the road, 25 yard.
Yeah. I don't know how to do that. I really can't swim at all. I won't say at all. If somebody throws me into the deep end of a pool,
You won't die.
I can like get back to the side of it.
Yeah.
I can get back to the side of it. But I can't tread water. Like I couldn't jump into Lake George and just chill. Like I can't do that.
I can easily show you.
Well, what the funny part was is that I used to be heavy into wakeboarding when I lived up in North Creek.
Shaky with swimming, but loved to
Well,
wakeboard.
well, see, yeah, with the wakeboard though, you wore a life jacket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like if you wrecked, you would just like you would just be like, okay, all right, just chill and wait for the boat to come around and hope another boat or jet ski doesn't hit you in the head, like basically. And but it was funny one time after everybody was done wakeboarding, everybody like jumped in, and there were some dudes from Wakeboard Magazine there, I think it was Wakeboard Magazine, or one of the companies that did that we worked with, like Hyperlift or Liquid Force, that did all the wakeboard stuff, and I forget who it was, but the guy was like, "Hey man, come on in." I was like, "I can't." He's like, "What?" And I was like, "I can't really swim." and he goes, "Wait, what? Like you wakeboard, but you can't?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what the life jacket's for." So, and I still haven't gotten very good at it. Like I couldn't dive into the pool and go all the way to 25 yards or whatever to the end. I would like pass out halfway through. So that's why it's funny when watching the CrossFit Games when they're doing like the run, swim, run,
Yeah, open water too.
and stuff like that.
Open water's tough.
Yeah.
You gotta see if people just.
Yeah, and not to mention all those people grabbing each other and stuff. Like I'm glad that Shatterslam doesn't do a swim event. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to participate. Next week, August 18th, Shatterslam. And so competitive swimming. Now, you said you left the Midwest when?
When I was about 21 or so, I went to school down in Orlando, Florida.
Orlando.
Full sail for a little while. Mind you, my life was a shit show. And wherever I went, I just seemed to like mess things up bad. Long history of drugs and alcohol abuse.
So when did that start? When did you first start? Like when you had like your first alcoholic drink or something? Or
15.
15?
Yep.
Yeah. And like what sort of circumstance was it? A party or?
Yeah, it was just people getting together, staying the night, friend's house. Had Everclear. You know, didn't get drunk my first time.
Yeah.
Hated the taste of it. Was like, why do this? But then people started smoking weed.
So weed was your first drug?
Yeah.
Okay. So
quickly after that was methamphetamine.
Meth?
Yeah. In the Midwest, it was around. You know, I knew people that.
Well, you mentioned that it's sort of a small town, right? Like
Yeah.
what was the size of your town?
I mean, the sign says
5,500.
5,500, but it's probably like 4,800.
Well, see, mine's 2,500.
I know.
And to this day is like 2,500.
Yep.
And I always told people that the only thing to do in North Creek besides the outdoor sports, so like you do like skiing, snowboarding, wakeboarding, maybe if you were a rafter, but that's usually just hippies that are fucking rafters. But like hiking and stuff like that. If you weren't doing outdoor sports, the only thing to do was like drink and fuck, and that was it.
Get in trouble.
Yeah. Bonfires,
Yep.
stuff like that people would go to. I remember being at a party in North Creek where they threw a piano into a fire, like a full-blown piano. Like, we don't need that anymore. And so yeah, small towns when that sort of stuff. Now I don't ever recall there being like meth in North Creek, but there is. It's there now. It's mad that another problem in North Creek was heroin. Was a big problem in North Creek, and it still is a big problem. But so at what age did you start with the meth?
By 17.
17?
Probably later 16. I remember moving high schools to go swim, trying to make that change. With my brother, I have a brother that's 17 months older than me. He was a college swimmer. He did the same thing, so I did the younger brother thing. Did exactly what he did for most of my life.
Mhm.
And moved high schools, and I remember first day there.
First day at your new high school. Was it to try to fit in, or was it just like anxiety? Or
I think it caused more anxiety, honestly. But it was just, I don't know, being young and, do drugs to have fun, do drugs to fit in, do drugs because I don't feel right with myself. So I ended up being as often as I could possibly do it. And when I had it all the time.
I don't even know. I really don't know this. Was it expensive, or is meth cheap?
It's pretty expensive.
Is it pretty expensive?
Yeah.
So how are you getting the money for it as a 16-year-old?
I guess, jobs that I had worked or, family money or trading something off. I had a bank account still when I was young that had money in it.
You had a bank account that had money in.
Yep.
Like your like relatives had put there. Oh my god. Oh my god. They're putting okay, Darrin, this is for college. And
Probably was.
Nah, it's for the School of Hard Knocks. That's what it's for. And so you were doing that every day.
As often as I could.
As often as you
could.
Because
17-year-olds not gonna be able to get booze every day, but it was any possible time that I could get it, I would get it.
Did you do more booze, or
it was a mix of it all?
Just a mix of everything.
At that time, marijuana, alcohol, and then meth occasionally, maybe every couple weeks, few weeks, something like that.
How are you able to do all that stuff and still be able to swim competitively?
That's a shocker.
Really?
Being 17.
Did you go to practice and meets and stuff?
Yeah, we had
messed up.
We had double practice. I attribute not being able to swim to potential and not being tapered my junior year because I was high on meth, and so during swim season, you would grow your hair out the entire year because it creates drag, right?
Yeah.
The more hair you have, and the more that you build, your threshold of being able to swim and training and stuff with more drag, then you would shave down for sectionals. Bick your hair, all of your head, all of that. I stayed up to 3 in the morning or something. Sectionals was at 8 a.m. and just shaving my legs and all of that. I hardly have any hair anyways, but I was just meth.
So not being what did you say? Not making what?
Tapered.
What's tapered?
So a taper is you would build in the amount of yardage and the tough sets and things of that nature, maybe build up to 10,000 yards swimming in one practice. Then that would be Hell Week throughout Christmas break. And then you would slowly through that time start to taper that down in the yardage to where maybe the week before you're only doing a meet warm-up, which is maybe 600 meters. But you've built up the strength to be able to do, just like in CrossFit too, they'll taper. They'll do all of this endurance training and then they'll taper off towards the end of their peak. And they will have all this energy built up to be able to perform at that level and with so much rest. And you're just geared and ready to go. And it works beautifully. People shave, 2, 3, 4 seconds off their time just from doing that and shaving their body.
All right.
Even the females, throughout winter, would not shave their legs once.
Oh, nice.
And then they would during that time.
Those hot hairy swimmer chicks.
Interesting times. I'm sure not all swimmers across the nation do that, but we did for sure.
Well, I had never heard of that. When you first started saying, well, you would get really long hair, I was like, that doesn't sound right. I thought swimmers had swim caps and stuff to keep the hair out. But I see what you mean.
Ladies would, they wear swim caps.
Yeah, it's kind of like in baseball when you would put the donut on the bat when you were in the on deck circle.
Yep.
So the bat seemed lighter when you were out there. Yeah. A much shorter time frame for that, but the same sort of thing.
Yep.
And so that was your junior year. You didn't get tapered. Did you your senior year?
I ended up the same. So trouble. I always seem to get in some sort of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
My senior year, I was caught with a can of dip on school property.
Of all things.
2 weeks before sectionals, I was a swim captain. it was a big ordeal. So I was told that like in Indiana, they have underage smoking and tobacco laws. So if you were under 18, they would bring a cop in to give you a ticket, and you would get suspended from school. So I was 18 at the time, so I didn't get the ticket. Got suspended for a couple days, but they said I can't swim in the sectional meet, which was, I mean, this was, my family made a huge sacrifice. My dad was still living in Illinois. My mom lived with me there.
Really?
In an apartment over in Indiana, and I had to go home very embarrassed to say I can't swim in this meet. And scouts are at that meet to be able to hit times to be able to get into college and get a scholarship and all of that. So it was like a perfect cocktail for me to say, fuck it, I'm not swimming anymore.
Yeah. I'm going to turn you up a little bit. You're not picking up as much as we wanted. Here. Let me go back. There we go. Rock and roll.
Good?
Yep. Now, so your parents had moved. Well, your mom moved to help you do this. So all the stuff that you were doing, was she unaware of it?
They were aware.
They were aware?
Yeah, I was caught, many times and became a, avid liar and all that nature, try to cover it up.
But the reason why you weren't able to do the sectional thing was because even though you were 18, you did like sign an honor code or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they make you sign for all the sports.
Yep.
I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that.
Yep.
And so
chewing.
Yeah, of all the things that you were, it's a little humorous that of all the things you were doing at the time, that it was a can of Skull that got you. That's the wow. Okay.
Yep.
So you go down to Orlando though. And
chasing other people's dreams. I had a DJ friend. He went to school down there. It seemed very appealing. Like, hey, do that too. And I think my family was a fan of the idea of me getting out of town.
But to go to Florida
didn't end up being didn't end up good at all.
I was gonna say Florida's kind of famous for
I fell out of there within like 13 months.
Orlando's actually a mecca for the wakeboarding world.
Is it?
Yeah, it's where they have the Orlando Water Sports Complex down there.
Fun fact.
Well, a friend of mine, Ben Greenwood, went down to Orlando and ended up becoming a professional wakeboarder.
Wow.
Yeah, he used to wakeboard up here with us, slum it with us. Now he's a professional wakeboarder with his own model and everything.
Shout out to you, man.
Yeah, I doubt he listens to this. I haven't talked to Ben in like 10 years or whatever. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a while. Because my wakeboard's not even here. My cousin has it. I let my cousin use it like 3 years ago, and I haven't. And it's old anyway. It's an old model now by this point in time. And so, but yeah, it's kind of funny. So you're getting all this trouble on the border of Illinois and Indiana, and it's like, well, check out Florida, see how that goes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be, and so that was pretty quick. Did you go back home after that?
Yeah, I went back home. I was there for a while, and things continued to get worse.
Yes. So now as far as worse, do you mean like worse stuff that you started doing, or just like just sort of same stuff but a downward spiral kind of thing?
Well, the same stuff plus more. It was kind of like a progression.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs and pills and things like that.
Pills? What kind of pills?
Benzos, painkillers. That's mainly what I got into at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of that.
Yeah. So did you ever go full from
heroin?
Yeah,
I did.
You did, really?
So these are the facts that like a lot of people, don't know about.
And that's not beer, by the way. That's a soda. Zevia. It's a sugar-free soda. So normally it would be a beer
paleo.
Yeah. Normally it would be beer cracking on this podcast, but so that's why Bailey's did not provide Bud Light today, because it's a different topic.
But yeah,
keep going.
I've been through the threshold of pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
Homeless, heroin addiction in Phoenix.
Homeless?
Oh yeah.
In Phoenix.
Yep.
So did you go to Orlando to Phoenix?
So it's always such a loaded answer. Like when people are like, "Where are you from?" I grew up with a family of snowbirds, so they went from Illinois. My grandparents did from Illinois to Arizona, back and forth.
Yeah. Okay.
And my parents started to do that, where they had like a condo out there that we could visit, and we would always have like Christmas out there and things like that. Take vacations. but in 2005, I believe, that's where I tried to, like, I went back home after Florida. Things got way worse.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going into a month-long treatment out there and staying after. Didn't stay sober by any means, but I stayed out there. My mom moved out there. They bought a home. I was living out there and was there for like 3.5 years, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And then, things, got worse. I was introduced to going across the border for
Really?
pharmaceuticals and things of that nature. And got caught once, actually, too. Told to never come back to Mexico. So,
well, so obviously this was pre-border wall that you were doing this.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got quite the history.
So you got caught coming back?
I did.
But all that happened was they were just like, don't do it again.
So they asked me to turn over if I had anything else. So I turned it over. They took down my ID and they said, we don't care if it's a week, a month, or years from now. You're not to come back. We know who you are. And I was like, okay, see ya.
That is okay.
I was shook.
What kind of stuff were you trying to bring over?
I had like 650 pills.
Jesus.
Something like that. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep.
Wow. That is okay. I thought that if you did something like that, it'd be like a Mexicali prison. How scared were you?
I was shook.
Okay.
I was shook because I was alone.
Yeah. How many times had you done it before then? Like, how many runs had you done?
There was probably 3 before that, and was always in somebody else's vehicle, and I rode with them. It was a clean car. Mine's not a clean car.
What does that mean?
I smoked weed on the way down.
Oh.
When you went through the border, so you would not even be at the border. It's like miles from the border. They would have these small checks. Pulled up, the dog bit. Like, was just scratching on my truck like crazy. They ripped it apart, and I had everything on me. And then they found one bag, and then I tried to hold on for a little bit longer. And then they were like, if you give it to us now, if you have anything more, we won't go any further. So it was like, there you go, buddy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So 650 pills. How much would that run you? How much would that cost?
It's over $1,000.
Really?
Depends on what they were, but yeah.
And so, but at this time, you're homeless in Phoenix?
No.
Okay.
Not at that time.
Okay.
Not at that time.
What led to the homelessness?
That was a personal decision. Honestly, like I made so many like bad decisions and burnt like so many bridges and family, set boundaries of not letting me back in or whatever.
Right.
Then I was just like, okay. Went to a sober community and was asked to leave because I had track marks up and down my arms.
Yeah. All right.
So I ended up just being on the street in Phoenix.
So you went to the sober community and you had track marks and things like that. But how long does it take for the marks to go away? Like if you had in fact stopped?
That's a few weeks.
Yeah. So
it wouldn't take that long. But I went in
without the marks.
Well, I went in, mind you, telling them like it was all every intention not to stay sober there.
Yeah.
Told them I was just abusing alcohol. That's the only thing that I ever used. And then they're like, "Well, what's these marks?"
Oh, all right.
I told you before, like I was a liar.
It's just booze. It's just booze.
Yeah.
Now, just so everybody knows that's watching the video, that's not booze.
Mm-hmm.
This is your what?
This is branched chain amino acids.
All right, kids, that's branched chain amino acids.
BCAAs.
BCAAs.
Fruit punch flavored.
It's not steroids either. But what does that do for you?
Recovery.
Recovery?
Yeah.
Now, recovery from your physical exercise.
Yes.
It's not something not something that you have to take so that you don't do meth anymore.
Precisely. But that might work for some people.
Imagine the kind of money that could be made if there was like a Gatorade that kept you off meth. Like all you gotta do is go to CVS and get this. It's right next to the Pedialyte, and you won't be on meth anymore. We gotta work on that. Anybody a scientist that can help me out? It's $1 million idea.
copyright that idea.
All right, so we're homeless in Phoenix, and where'd you go after that?
So I got very tired. I was like the panhandler, and that was even lying. I would have a gas can, and I would say that was my car over there. I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
That was my car over there, and I ran out of gas. You develop stories like that, or walk around, have a sign sometimes. And I got really tired of that, like really quick. So within a couple of weeks, I had emailed, because didn't have a cell phone, pawned that off too. My mom, and said, I called my brother, who was driving through Canada at the time, back to Illinois, and just got honest with him. Like, hey, I don't know how I got here, but I'm pretty tired of it, and I want to make a change.
And what year is this that you're in Phoenix and panhandling?
2008.
2008. All right. And so did like your mom or your brother come pick you up or something? Is that
Mom and dad picked me up later on. I think it was like emailed with my mom, and then the next day she said, like, hey, we have this place. I talked to you about it a year ago, but you didn't seem interested. I don't recall that whatsoever.
So during that conversation, you might have been under the influence.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I was probably fighting it. More than likely.
All right.
And they picked me up and took me out to Wickenburg, Arizona. This it's probably like 60 miles outside of Phoenix. And I went to this place. They told me it was going to be for about 6 months. It was a year-long program.
Really?
Yeah. And I ended up going to detox the next day, and then was out in this bunkhouse with 15 other guys. And, you would think, hey, happy story from then on out. No, I was arrested like 18 days later because I left and brought drugs back.
Arrested 18 days after day one, or after day 365? Because you said you were there
Day
for
one.
Okay. All right. So, but they didn't kick you out then, because you were there for a year.
Nope. Huge. That paid dividends later on. So I brought drugs back. A kid OD'd. He did not die. I was arrested there. It was a huge plan that we had to use drugs and then magically sober up after that.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out
One
that
last
way.
hit.
And I was arrested. I was taken up to Prescott, Arizona, and then to Camp Verde, a place that I'd never been. And the guy who did my intake was there. And I just remember reading the papers that this guy was alive, which I was happy about. I didn't know if he was alive or not.
Yeah.
Because I was asleep, and these two guys used the rest of the stuff when I was asleep, and I was woken by cops. And they said, hey, we're willing to take you back. And I already had planned in my mind, like I was set to go someplace else and start over, and what am I doing next, sort of thing. But I had to face that situation, and that paid off for sure. They didn't give up on me.
Did you do jail time for this, or were you
6 days that time, and then I was on probation for a year, and then that was it.
Was that the first time that you'd done any sort of like jail stay or anything like that?
I'd had overnights before. That was my fourth arrest, so no more than overnights. That was the longest 6 days that I had.
And what was that like? Was that tough, or was it?
I mean, it was just daunting, honestly, because I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if the kid was alive at the time, so that was going through my mind. And just feeling like you had nobody.
So you're going to go back to this program, though. And so what is that like? What do they do at these programs?
There's a bunch of different stuff. So it was on a working, it was 7 miles in the middle of the desert. There was this open cattle farm. So we were bucking bales of hay, feeding cattle. We rode horses. We took care of horses. They had like a shop crew where you worked with this old man, Jim Stalker, on like,
His name is Jim Stalker.
His name is Jim Stalker, and he had like five dogs that would herd cattle. Amazing dogs. It was impressive. You wouldn't even have to train a new one. You would just introduce them to, the other posse of dogs, and they would do what they did. So we worked with them. You address certain things, which was like, we had a thing called Circle, and it was like you would do confrontations. You learn to speak your feelings. Confessions, concerns, affirmations, things like that. They did a lot of recovery movies. Like he would tie in different movies and themes of movies to things that people go through. Because really, it had to do with I was uncomfortable sober.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I couldn't stay sober because it was unenjoyable.
Well, give me some examples of the movies that might have been.
Man, what did they have us watch?
It wasn't like Train Spotting.
Not Train Spotting. I don't remember watching that one.
I think that's the one where they're all
Yes,
different.
it is heroin.
Okay, yeah.
But no, they have different like overcoming different things. Like I remember Karate Kid being one of them.
Danielson?
Yeah, Russo.
Okay, overcoming things and stuff like that. All right, rock and roll.
We did yoga.
Yoga?
We did yoga. Introduced yoga. You did some group therapy stuff, which is just talk therapy. Speaking your feelings, things like that. And then you had, at the end of the evening, like a formulated AA meeting, sort of, every single evening around a campfire.
So that year finishes up. And you said that didn't take, though. It didn't last.
What did after the 18th day. So during that time, my last use was September 20th, 2008.
That's your last day?
That was when I was arrested there. That was it for me.
It wasn't a car crash that you got into?
Nope. 2007, I got in a car crash.
Oh, I thought that was like your turning point.
Nope. I wish it was.
Okay, tell me about the ar crash, though. You got in a really bad one. Right?
I did, yeah. That was December 16th, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I was sworn into the United States military. Was going to go into the Coast Guard. Going to use that direction. Had a brother that, after he graduated college, was, approaching me about helping change my life. And that was when, let's see, so I took the ASVABs, had a set date, and I was going to have a last hoorah. I was going to go back to Illinois and do what I thought dudes did, and was have a last hoorah before you go off to boot camp.
A last hoorah?
But the last hoorah was like, a cocktail of different substances. And I ended up, I guess, blacked out. I don't really recall it. I remember like bits and pieces on my grandma's table with like pills everywhere. She calls my dad back in Arizona. And he gets me on the phone and says, you need to come back to Arizona immediately.
Mm-hmm.
They buy me a flight. I'm in a rental car. I get gas. I black out and I wake up in the hospital. And my grandma says, "You broke your neck."
Oh.
They told me that I flipped the car 3 times, hit 2 trees, and landed in a ditch. I fractured my C6 vertebrae. If I had my hair as short as you, which I have before, I have this huge line from here,
really,
all the way back where I have my head stitched up from a huge laceration in a rental car. So yeah, there was that, and it was terrible.
Okay, so you are coming up on 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's crazy.
And so, when did you get to upstate New York?
So following the year of treatment there, they had options where people would go to college and work up in Prescott, but then they had this horse farm in Schuylerville on Stonebridge Farm, where they had a few houses, and they had said, the founder had horses up here, and it was like, you could come up here, work on this farm, and, get in contact with, positive people, and be up here for 6 months. And I ended up coming here with 3 solid guys that I was friends with at the time from that program, and came up here. So that's how I got my introduction to New York State.
Okay. And you've been up here ever since?
Yeah, my grandma was about to pass away. That program shut down, so there was a period of time I was back.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up working for that program for a little bit. Went back to Tucson, and I was up in northern Idaho helping them, and then I just missed New York. I fell in love with the people that I'd met here. I loved the season changes. It was kind of like, it was more extreme winter.
Oh, yeah.
It was more like Southern Illinois, where you had fall. You had a legit fall. You had a legit winter.
Mhm.
Sure, you got a short spring here usually, and then straight into summer.
Well, this year we didn't have any.
Yeah.
This year it went from cold to balls hot, very, very, very quickly, and it's been really sticky this year. Then, just like you tried to go outside and chill. Like I have this balcony out here. I haven't even put the big lounger.
Yeah.
I have it like a Chase lounger
It's
chair.
been really humid.
Like I've tried to put it out there and like read a book. I've been like, I'm sweating so bad, and so it's kind of weird to even try to do anything right now. So now I met you via CrossFit. And that is something that you do tend to find a lot of people that in CrossFit that used to struggle with drugs and alcohol. Mainly because CrossFit people do say that it's kind of addictive. And so you have those addictive tendencies to begin with. Anyway, this is a nice thing to replace it with.
Mm-hmm.
How long ago did you start that?
So CrossFit 12866 has been open since September of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It is the first CrossFit gym I've been a part of. Before that, I was in a cross training program where we did, like high intensity interval training, powerlifting moves where we would bench, dead, squat, front and back. We would power clean, and I usually did everything from the hang, but we did no snatching, no overhead squats, anything like that. So I was doing that before, and I always, no double unders, no ropes whatsoever, no climbing ropes. It was like rig work where you learn to kip, and I taught to look up videos on butterfly and things like that. Handstand push-ups, we'd do all that stuff. But I had seen some of the world of like, especially as social media and like Instagram kind of blew up more, you would see more posts about different, people doing like crazy shit. And I was like, I want to push this a little further. So I ended up separating from that and then going to the CrossFit gym.
Well, I have no data to support this. I think what really has piqued an interest in it in like the last 3 years is that the documentaries are on Netflix now.
It's huge, I'm sure now, for sure.
So like the Fittest on Earth, 2015 was the first one they put on there,
which was great.
Yeah,
watching that, like,
and then the 2016, and then they did the Redeemed and Dominant. They just put on there a couple months ago, and so I think more people are seeing that now and being like, I want to do that stuff, even though that stuff is way more extreme than you usually do.
Yeah.
And just for some of the non-CrossFitters, double unders is jump rope where it goes under twice for each jump. Kipping is a exercise they do, gymnastic exercise that is similar to, it helps out with the pull-ups and stuff like that. And what else did you say?
Handstand push-ups.
Handstand push-ups. People know what that is. You know why people know what that is? It's a stupid movie. It's got stupid in the title. Crazy Stupid Love. It's got Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling is like trying to teach him how to get chicks. Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
Okay. And at one point they're at the gym and Gosling starts doing handstand push-ups and Carell's like, oh man, like whatever, like show off her. And so people, every time I bring that up to non-CrossFitters, like, yeah, like what Ryan Gosling did in that movie. It's like, okay, all right, if that's how you do it. And but Olympic weightlifting is something you've been doing a lot of.
Yeah.
And power. And so how many Olympic meets have you done?
I've done, I believe, 5. I believe I've done 5.
5. And you've gotten a few podium finishes, right?
Yeah. At the podiums that I did, that I was able to make was at CrossFit 315. I really love doing their events out in the Syracuse area.
Mm-hmm.
I've done there 3 times at the Arnold, at the American Open Series 1, and then Mohawk Valley.
The Arnold, it's funny. So the Arnold is every year in Columbus, Ohio, which is where Rogue Fitness is headquartered. And it's an event that was started by Arnold Schwarzenegger started this event. And but it's funny that so they have like that gets a lot of fame because of the strongman aspect
physique,
of it.
Yeah.
It's got the mountain from Game of Thrones, Thor,
giant
there.
Oh man, saw him there.
So it's got the mountain, and but also like what you did, they also do like Olympic lifting.
They latched on with the American Open Series.
Yeah.
one of them there, which brings a lot of publicity to the sport. With it being there, it's not as big of a venue as like other things, like the strongman. That is the thing to watch. Like you can't even really get in unless you're there hours and hours and hours early to watch it. Yeah, it's huge.
This year, I was because you can watch that on TV, right? Like it's like a streaming on Facebook or something, like kind of like what we're doing here. I tuned in for a little bit of it this year, and it's funny. You got like Arnold, himself in the crowd there, and JJ Watt was handing out.
Was
there.
he?
Yeah. JJ Watt was handing out there this year. He was like all excited and like into it,
nice
and stuff.
I'm a fan of JJ Watt.
Yeah,
he does good things.
Me too. I'm a big fan of him. And but see, the 315 did the Arnold and Mohawk Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Now, somebody that just joined the live feed is Kevin Ostrich.
Hey, Kev.
And he recently did an event out like in Valley Forge, where he got first place.
American Open Series 2.
American Open Series 2. He got first place in his weight class. So
congrats to you, Kev.
Congrats, Kevin.
Hard work.
Way to go, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, do you think, I'm just spitballing here, do you think that the CrossFit and the Olympic lifting and stuff has helped you, as part of the recovery process, even though
it's a huge portion.
It came like 8 years into your, into your recovery.
It's a huge portion.
Yeah.
So, like, one of the things, like, in my story earlier, like, that getting caught with a can of dip, perfect cocktail for saying, fuck it. I loved being competitive. Like, I loved training. I loved competitive sports. In swimming, we were there twice a day. We had 2 days. Like, we were the ones that teachers were lenient on because we were there so much. And that's something, that competitiveness in training and overcoming yourself and all of that, that's hugely benefited from.
Sweet. So, now, I don't know what your actual occupation is, but I believe it has to do with helping people.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah,
as much as possible.
So tell me about that. So you currently try to help people recover right now.
Yep. Hobby as my hobby.
Oh, it's a hobby. Okay.
Well, no, also, outside of the job frame, I do, drug and alcohol assessments for Warren County DSS.
That's DSS stand for?
Department of Social Services. So
I should have known that.
Up in Lake George.
Showing my own ignorance. All right, go ahead.
But it's just me. It's DSS, the slang for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I did before, which they just eliminated the position not too long ago, but I was helping for a treatment center. Some of the same people that helped me sober up during that year had started a different program in Prescott, and I was doing outreach for the program for a while, for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that, and then, in working in that field, as much of a problem that there is, like, all around, like, a lot of people just don't know what to do. They don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their son approaches them, daughter approaches them, or they find out, and they're like, where do I go from here? A lot of people call me with situations like that. Like, what do I do? Where do I go? And you just try to point them in the right direction. If not, get them there to the place they need to go.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what it is.
Now, been very successful then, since it's coming up on 10 years.
Yeah.
As far as that. In the first year or two, though, were there any like life events that almost triggered like a relapse or anything?
Not for myself. So we were in a pretty controlled environment. We could do what we wanted, but at the same time, like, I was with a group of cool cats that I connected with, and we just kind of packed together and did shit, went to the movies, traveled around, physical exercise, all different types of stuff. But I just got in contact with like-minded people, other sober people that were, had the same values.
So there was you didn't have any sort of feelings to do stuff like when your grandmother was having health issues and things like that. So you were able to handle that kind of stuff because you hear about that.
It was the weirdest time during that was when I went from winter to spring, and I was like, and then when I got into summer, I just felt like I needed to be on a boat with beer.
Right.
It was the wildest thing, and it was I attribute like a lot of like not catastrophes, but like major situations. Like they were the firsts like that I experienced sober. It was kind of like a new life sort of thing. Like how do I, maneuver all of this stuff? And when it seemed like a mountain, rather than a molehill, that sort of thing, it was typically a first time I'd been through whatever situation was like that. So kind of, breeze through.
So you just basically had to figure out like, hey, I can do this sober.
Yep.
And it's still enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like Kevin and Lisa, they have their boat and they go out.
Yeah.
And there's no booze on that. People are having a good time. So you just have to sort of do those things and be like, hey, look at that. I still enjoyed myself.
But I go to the other extreme a lot more than some individuals do. Some choose to avoid it altogether. I remember, some of the group that was, at the gym, they would go out, or we were in, a kickball league or whatever, and that was mainly around people getting drunk, honestly.
Yeah, kickball is not for the athleticism of it or anything,
But we were there just to have fun, and I was able to do all that stuff just having fun. That's it.
Yeah, so, and that's, so I didn't know this about you until, I don't know, like a few months after I met you. Because I think on the anniversary, on the anniversary.
Sober date?
Yeah, not your sober date, even. I think it was your sober date. You posted like a picture of your accident.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So have there been times where people have been like, hey, you want to drink? You're like, like offered you something, and you had to be like, no, I don't.
Well, many times when people would offer in those, like when I'm in those social situations where like they don't know who I am and I'm just there. It's like, some people, and I've done it before too, like explain like, no, I'm a sober individual in recovery, yada, 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 yada. But like early on in the days, like it kind of looked like that because I didn't know how to maneuver it. Like how do you maneuver those situations comfortably? Now it's like, oh man, don't really feel like having one today. I don't drink, period, but I can communicate it in a way that's like, it's not like a thing. You know what I mean? And that doesn't make them feel uncomfortable. Like, oh, am I making you feel uncomfortable? It's like, dude, live your life, do what you want. I just don't drink.
Right. Yeah, you can go ahead and do your thing.
Yeah, and I think it's made me more helpful because people don't have to like avoid it, around me. Like, if you were to drink right now, do it.
I don't have any booze. Bro. I don't have any. Well, actually, I do have. There's booze out there, but no, I have Zevia. Sugar-free soda.
BCAAs.
And I don't have my BCAAs, so apparently I'm not getting my recovery into this. All right, let's talk something that's not recovery, drugs, blah, 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 blah. You're a big Game of Thrones fan. Let's talk Game of Thrones.
We were just talking about how awesome Sundays are going to be once April comes around in 2019.
Well, yeah, it's still so far away.
It is.
Like, I watched every episode of a terrible show on HBO. It's called Succession, and it was about a rich family that owned a company, and they're just fighting over the money. It's like 10 episodes of just terrible people. It would be like if Game of Thrones was just about the Lannisters, and like that was it. Like there wasn't anybody else. There wasn't anybody else to root for, or anything like that. And Lisa agrees. She says too far away for April.
So fun fact. Sorry if I'm cutting you off here.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was in Croatia in 2014, and we were walking the streets. We were in Dubrovnik. We were walking King's Landing.
Oh.
Before I had even watched it, and the guy that we were with, he was like, "This is where King's Landing is filmed," or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, cool, bro."
Yeah.
I didn't even watch the show yet.
So you're like,
but now I'm like, fucking been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, look at that shit.
Is it like where they walked her and they were like, shame?
Yes.
That's
there.
That's
that was all the real deal, Dubrovnik, Croatia. And then the huge towers of whatever in the background, that you see occasionally. That's CGI stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like that whole Dubrovnik, like you can walk on the top of the actual castle all the way around on the ocean line. It's amazing.
Yeah. I've never been across the pond, so I've never been to any of the places where they film. I'm sure I would freak out if I did. I freaked out. I've been to Chicago. I don't know how many times. I've been to Chicago like I don't know, like 20 times. But last time I was there, the street I was working on, like I was looking around. I was like, wait, this is where they flipped the truck in The Dark Knight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was that street, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm right where they flipped the truck." And so I'm sure if I saw like something like that's where Winterfell is,
Yep.
I would freak out.
Yep.
Who do you want to end up on the Iron Throne? And when it's all said and done, assuming that there's even one there. Oh, and by the way, spoiler alert for people that have not seen all of the episodes of Game of Thrones.
Stop listening now.
But if you haven't seen all the episodes of Game of Thrones yet, what the fuck is the matter with you? I mean,
That's you, Jenna.
It takes so long in between seasons for them to get new episodes. You can catch up but anyway, who do you want to end up on? Jon Snow. Everybody wants Jon Snow.
God, how can you not root for that guy?
But George R.R. Martin is a sadist, so that's not happening.
Yes.
He already came back from the dead once. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be Tyrion Lannister.
I would. Yep. That's a very good possibility. Do you think that he's of the same bloodline?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but
I know that's where it comes from.
But did you read? You didn't read the books or anything, right?
Nope.
Neither did I. But I have, I know people that read the books.
Me too.
There's a guy actually in an apartment right over there, Michael Pascucci.
Did he mention that there was something of major proportion that has not even occurred yet?
Yeah. The Mad King, the one that we've only seen a little snippet of or whatever. Apparently, really, really desired Tywin Lannister's wife, and there's thoughts that he didn't so much have an affair with her as forced her to, because he was the king.
Yep.
And that Tyrion is the spawn of that, and not Tywin, and that's why Tywin kept saying, "You're no son of mine," because he really wasn't. And that's why he hated him so much, not because he was a dwarf, but because it wasn't actually his kid. And that's the big theory.
I also wondered what was going to happen with the so-called horn that would control the dragons.
Well, see, Euron Greyjoy was supposed to have that, and he doesn't. Well, if he has it, he hasn't used it yet.
Yeah.
I watched a terrible movie with that guy in it yesterday. The guy that plays Euron Greyjoy. I watched a movie called Ghost in the Shell that Scarlett Johansson was in. Watched that yesterday. That was a waste of 2 hours. Don't watch that, folks. It's bad. It's just flat out bad. And so but here's what I think is going to happen. All right. Now, first of all, they're gonna start fighting the army of the dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And because they've breached the wall, man. They're on their way. And but then they're probably gonna be okay. They're probably gonna be doing all right. But then because Cersei's being a cunt, they're gonna have to turn around and fight the Golden Company because they're coming from that direction, and that's gonna divide their forces. All right, and eventually they're gonna win, but both the casualty of it is going to be both Jon and Daenerys, and Tyrion's the last one left to watch over everything. That's what I think it's gonna happen.
Interesting.
Yep. Just a theory. But I that's all I've had time to do. Well, not time to do. It's the only thing I've been able to do. Sit around and theorize and watch them over again because it takes so long.
So usually in the wintertime, that's when I'll play a video game or stuff like that. When you have a lot of indoor time, I know I'll rewatch all of them.
Well, what I do, this is really lame. All right, so there's so many episodes, and I'll start that many days before the first one and watch one every night until you get to that day.
It's a good way to do it, though.
Yep. So I've rewatched them all 6 times because there's been 7 seasons. So this time I'll rewatch them all and then watch the 7th season over again.
It's a good show.
But Jenna has not watched all of them?
None. Her mom is super into it, though.
So 1 year with Jenna.
1 year.
That went by fast.
Very, very fast.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what?
Mm-hmm. She's also a CrossFitter.
She is. She's way better CrossFitter than me.
I know.
Way better.
She is better than you.
God. She's awesome.
The other day when she was doing pistols, I was like, "That's good.
Yeah.
Look at that."
Right?
Now pistols is one-legged squats, folks.
That is, yes.
So it's just so.
It is a skill developed.
No, this is not so much. Yeah, this is not so much in the spirit of today because we've been talking about like recovery and stuff like that. But there's an Eli Show drinking game. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's every time I say CrossFit, they drink.
So I knew that there was the thing like you're not supposed to, or geez, why do you talk about CrossFit so much, sort of thing.
Well, yeah. People that don't do it are always like, Eli's talking about it again. But in my last podcast, I talked about depression, and it's been a very, very constant struggle for me. But CrossFit has helped it out immensely because of, I think, a few things. I think because of just the pure science of it, the fact that intense exercise releases the feel-good hormones, dopamine. I can't say I'm all ignore epinephrine, like all those things that actually scientifically give you a boost. There's a great book called Spark. I can't remember who wrote it. Shit. But it's called Spark. S-P-A-R-K. S-P-A-R-K. And it's specifically about the effects of science on the brain. And there's a thing called BDNF. Such a bro with that, man. There's a thing called BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor that they've shown has actually caused I don't know what it is, but like the brain to repair itself. Like people say like, oh, if you kill brain cells drinking, like they go away forever. That's totally false. Like the brain can repair itself. Yeah. And exercise actually speeds up that process, which helps out with people that have depression. And so it really helps with that just from the science of it. And also it helps you feel better about yourself because you were doing one thing one day, and now you're doing more the next day.
Constant progression.
And you're getting better, and you're getting better, and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so you do want to talk about it. And people that don't do it are like, shut up.
Let's checklist this real quick. What are 3 things you can do now that you couldn't do a year and a half ago?
Handstand push-ups is definitely one of them.
Ryan Gosling. I'm forever going to call that the Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. Climb ropes. I hadn't done that. I haven't even attempted it since elementary school because I stopped. Like once you got past 6th grade, it's like, okay, we're not gonna make you try to climb ropes anymore, which I thought was weird. I was like, so now that we're bigger, we're not gonna try the harder stuff. And the Olympic lifts, the snatching and clean and jerk. I'd never done any of those before.
And now you can do what poundage for each?
Clean and jerk, my max rate. Well, the max for the clean was 185. For clean and jerk, I think it's 175, and for snatch 130. It is my PR currently.
Boom, which was like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yep. Plus, do a lot of pull-ups at once. Like yesterday, I just said, let's see how many I can do before I come off the bar. I think I got to like 21, 20.
That's huge.
So, but that's just like a one shot.
Seriously?
Oh, Murph. Doing Murph.
Yeah. I can do a fucking Murph.
Yeah, Murph, which is 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, another mile run.
Not broken up in 20 rounds, straight through.
Yeah. I think we're one of the few gyms that does that.
God, yeah, it's intense.
Most places let you break it up. The CrossFit Games, they broke it up when they did Murph. They did 20 pull-ups, I think 40 push-ups, and what would that be? No, because so it'd be rounds of 5. So 60 squats. That's how they did it. They did 5 rounds of those 3 in the games. But it's freaking Dirk. No, we're not doing it that way. He hasn't listened to this, I don't think so. And so you want to talk about it. Well, I always the way I think about it is when somebody first gets into it doesn't happen so much anymore as adults, but like when somebody first gets into like a new relationship and they're like, oh, this person said this the other day, and that person
Who
said,
isn't starry
Yeah,
eyed when they get in a new relationship?
and so they always talk about it. And you're like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, you found somebody who wants to fuck you. That's great. Awesome. So just fuck them and shut up. So it's the same thing for people that don't do CrossFit. When we talk about it, they're like, oh yeah, shut up, whatever. And but I don't shut up, and I don't care.
Yep.
I don't care about it.
Yeah.
Lisa thinks that the way that we do it is better. You gotta do all the pull-ups, all the push-ups, all the squats.
I would agree.
I'm fine. I was fine with the pull-ups.
It's tough.
I was fine with the pull-ups. It was the push-ups that got me.
Yeah.
When I got to like 100, I was like,
once they're
there's
gone,
100.
they're gone.
I was like, there's 100 left. Shit, that sucked.
With the weighted vest. I don't know if you added that.
I didn't do it. I'm doing that next year.
With the weighted vest.
Yeah, I'm doing the vest next year. I was actually shopping for the vest the other day.
Good for you.
I was like, I'm gonna buy a vest.
It'd be a very good thing to have. Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah. So, do you want to do any shout outs to anybody?
Geez, there's so many people I want to shout out. Iron Roost, Paul Milana Coleman. Honestly, it's a great place. Go check it out.
Where is that?
Boston Spa on Front Street.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a sweet place to go eat any type of brunch food. Period. You ever been there?
No, I normally promote Bailey's Cafe on this show.
Bailey's too,
which is on the corner of Philo and Putnam.
Yeah.
Right now, they don't need a lot of promotion. They're getting tons of business.
Awesome.
Every Thursday, Soul Session plays there, and Soul Session is just like this band that they rock the hizzy is what they do. And so you see people just like people literally file in from the street because they walk by and like, ooh, what's that? And they just walk in. And so if you go there on Thursday, you can dance up a storm and enjoy yourself. So Bailey'sCafe.com. All right, who else do you want to shout out to?
I don't know, man. On the spot shout out?
Jenna, perhaps?
Well, she's got shout out like 3 times already. Jenna Premiano?
Yeah. Oh, is it okay to say her last name on this? It's going to be on the internet.
She's fine.
I don't know if you listen to any of mine, but I have code names for ex-girlfriends, so I don't get like sued or something. I got Funshine. Another one was Midnight Runner. Lucky is another one. I forget. I don't know how many I've mentioned on here, but those are the 3 that I've mentioned that I remember. They're code names. I got another. I'll talk about that later. But all right. But there's also the That's a Feather Award. I'm not sure if you're aware of this.
I've heard of it.
Okay, so one of the things I used to do was when somebody was like doing like a humble brag, I'd be like, "Oh, good for you. That's a feather in your cap," and I would actually like mind putting a feather in their cap. But then people started to be like, I actually started to recognize people that were doing good things and be like, "Oh yeah, that's a feather," and then I'm going like that. But then people started requesting them. They're like, "I did this. I deserve a feather," even though it's just it was just miming.
Selfish fuck.
Yeah. So I do That's the Feather Award now. This is going to be the first one. I have never met this person. This was suggested by James Dolan, who is the episode 3 guest. He wants to nominate, and I accept the nomination, of a Tom Morey. I don't know if that's exactly how you say it. Morey. He is a PA, which I'm going to assume that stands for Physician's Assistant.
I believe so.
At Champlain Valley Hospital, which is up in Plattsburgh, New York. Guy was at a barbecue. Somebody got stung by a bee and went into like the whatever you call it, anaphylactic shock or whatever. And I don't know if this person didn't know that they were allergic to bees or whatever.
So did he have it down?
He did.
Oh,
yep. And he went
a lifesaver.
Bam. So he quite literally saved a life. So that is why the That's a Feather Award goes to Mr. Tom Morey.
Congrats, Tom Morey.
Yep. And I guess I'll give James Dolan his certificate that guy can proudly display in his home. All right. Well, thank you, Darrin Fulkerson, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to everybody that joined on Facebook Live. And thank you for everybody that has listened to this on theelishow.com or iTunes or wherever you might be listening to this. Enjoy and have an excellent evening.